YouTube, what's up? I'm back. I'm going to throw this video together as quickly as possible and call it a night. So, earlier tonight at the grocery store, I found this, which is, it's alright. I prefer more of a stock type of a look, although on this car, the custom look might be a little bit better. But point is, Honda, I got another Honda in the mail that we're going to look at. That if you watched the last video, you know what it is. So I thought, let's take a look at some Honda diecast, because Honda, in comparison to Nissan, there just isn't hardly as much of it out there. Probably the same with... there's probably more Toyota even than Honda. There's just not a lot of Honda diecast out there. So these are a couple of Hot Wheels that I thought were worthy of mention. This Honda S2000 is hands down one of Hot Wheels' best $1 cars that they've ever done. It is incredibly nice for the price. This is a $5 price point, 5 or 6. It too is quite nice. Lots of great detail in the Honda Odyssey. I wish that it didn't have that bubble top, but they have to take that metal out so they can keep it at their price point. Still some really nice details. So those are a couple of Hot Wheels Hondas. I'm going to go from the cheapest on up. Alright, so the next level would be Johnny Lightning, which I think are incredibly mediocre. I know a lot of people are fans of these cars, but when you get into the premium import stuff, it really puts these ones into perspective. This Civic, for example, is, in my opinion, below average. I don't think it's that nice. It's an older tooling, so it is a Tomy tooling, or I think Playing Mantis did this one. But it's not a round 2 tooling. Round 2 actually hasn't designed anything for Johnny Lightning. Round 2 actually doesn't own Johnny Lightning, so with that being the case, they wouldn't be designing anything for Johnny Lightning. Anything that Round 2 designs will have to be put out for Auto World, and I think that's why we're not going to see any new... Actually, we have seen not new toolings of cars. I wonder how that works with the fact that Round 2 doesn't own Johnny Lightning. If they wanted to put out a new tooling under the Johnny Lightning name, I wonder how that works. I'll have to ask about that. But yeah, this to me is anything but awe-inspiring. The CRX is nice. It's just way big. You know, if you're into 1 to 55 scale, this is a great car. This is not even close to 1 to 64. When I say 1 to 55, that's no exaggeration. This car is every bit of 1 to 55. But that's okay. I mean, it's a nice car. It's just, you know, for me, scale does matter. And one thing you probably noticed with both of these cars is that I have wheels swapped both of them, because the wheels that came on the cars I thought looked pretty terrible. They didn't look too bad on the CRX, but I like these ones a lot better. This one, they were pretty bad. I like these ones a lot better. But I wouldn't be surprised if at some point these wheels found their way onto a 4x4. So, anyways, those are the Johnny Lightning. You can see a lot of nice detail. Painted headlights and taillights and whatnot. Metal body, metal base, rubber tires with tread. So all of those nice things that you don't get with Hot Wheels, although you do get all those things with the Hot Wheels Honda Odyssey. But from there, we start getting into some of the much nicer stuff. I'm not quite to the point yet where I'm going to crack this car, but I'm very close. I'm going to look at a couple more, and then we'll crack open the new one, and then we'll run down the list of all the other stuff. So this is a GreenLight Honda Civic, just a Honda Civic SI. It's not a Type R or anything, but you can see here the major issues with this car. GreenLight did a very poor job on this, and let me wipe it off. Well, I hate to be critical because I know I can be pretty critical of these brands. Because I'm an accuracy collector, accuracy matters to me. So when I see cars like this that have these utterly ridiculous stances, which GreenLight really doesn't put much thought into on a lot of their cars, it just bugs me because I see so much potential here. You know, if the stance on this car was fixed, I think it would be a nice looking diecast car. It has great detail with the headlights and taillights and the deco. You know, it's got the side view mirrors. The wheels look, I think, really good. It's just the stance that a bad stance will ruin an entire car. And that's why I wish every brand would put far more emphasis on getting the stance right. An average looking tooling with a really good stance is going to look way better than a great looking tooling with an awful stance. And that's basically what we have here. So it's a bummer. I almost feel like this car still has to be considered premium detail because of the amount of detail in the car. But it certainly isn't a very realistic replica. And here's my, case in point. I mean, if you think this car looks better than this car, I don't know. I don't get that. Because to me, this car looks way better than this car, and that shouldn't be the case. This car should look better. This one is an average tooling with a great stance. This is a great tooling with an average stance. Stance has such a huge impact on the way that a car will display. All right, so one more car that we'll look at, and then we'll crack the new one, and then I'll finish up the list because basically got all my Hondas out for this video. So this is an off-brand. I don't even remember the brand. They were early 2000s. It is X Concepts LLC from 2002. This is a 99 Honda Accord. It's not a perfect tooling, but it's not bad by any means. It's actually quite nice. It's a lot of times better than the GreenLight Civic. So it's just a two-door Honda Accord with some ground effects and some slight graphics, but it looks to have stock wheels. Does have a painted hood. But this car, for its time, was one of the nicer cars. There weren't a lot of lens, headlight, and taillight stuff back then. Ertl was doing it. And I think that's about it at that time. Maybe some Revell. But yeah, this thing actually looks pretty good here in the video. Looks. I always thought this car was a little bit long in the trunk area, but here in this video, I still think it's probably a little long, but maybe the body kit there has something to do with that to make it look a little bit longer. But that's a pretty cool little car. It's a tough little car to find. And I like it. It's definitely a collection keeper. And it's something, it has suspension. It's got rubber tires. It's a plastic base, metal body. It does have an opening hood with a nicely detailed engine. Got a little aftermarket air intake there. Not sure why that Phillips screw is there. That's kind of interesting. That definitely didn't come there. Oh, well. Anyways, it's a cool car. I like it. And, due to the fact that there aren't many Hondas, this is something that I'll probably keep. It's the only two-door Honda Accord that's ever been cast in 1:64 scale. At least of that body style. All right, so on that note, we are going to crack open this Revell Honda Civic, which is a pretty valuable car. I've seen this one on eBay sell for some pretty decent money. I do see some things with it in the packaging that give me a little bit of concern. The packaging is really nice. Revell did a decent amount of these, just basically stock model cars. Like they did a bunch of the Chevys. They looked great and they sell for high dollars. You can find the lowrider stuff and it's relatively affordable, 20, 25 for the good ones. But you start finding these civilian model ones, like that 96 Impala with the civilian card. That's like $100 car. I've seen this one. I've seen people trying to get 80 for this. I don't know if they've sold for that high, but honestly, I haven't checked. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. I think this one, I want to say off the top of my head that the range of this car would be 40 to 60. Because the ones that you're always going to find are going to be the lowrider ones, which, those are either going to have custom rims or they're going to have graphics. Nobody wants graphics. I won't take too much time doing this because we're already at 14 minutes and there's still a few cars left. But I just want to look because I'm curious now. Oh, okay. So it's actually not bad at all. There's one. There's one here for $27. Okay, so that is a really good price because I saw someone trying to get 80 for this. And just so you guys know, that one for $27 is the only one listed. Every single one of the other ones are either Fast and Furious or Lowrider or Edge. And they all got silly graphics on them. They don't look that good. So that one is not going to last at that price. But you can't ever really go by that you got to look at completed listings. And if you go to completed listings, there hasn't been one. That one. As I scroll down, I'm all the way back to, well, I'm not back that far, but that one hasn't sold. I bet if that guy took it to auction, he would get 40. I bet he would. All right, let's take this thing out of the packaging and let's see what it looks like. The back of the card has some water damage down near the blister, so I am not going to lie. That has me a little bit concerned. I'm going to set the camera down because I want to crack this with two hands. And sometimes these Revells, sometimes the inner plastic, the inner plastic mold gets trapped in the blister because of the glue, so it takes two hands to get it out anyways. This thing is incredible. Holy cow. That is so much nicer than I thought it was going to be. I don't understand why anybody would want to keep their cars in the packaging. That looks so good. All right, well, here we go. This is the Revell. It's certainly not a TLV quality, but it's way above anything else that I've seen as far as like Johnny Lightning or Hot Wheels or even Tomica Premium. This is a really nice tooling. And it is, that's a DX. So the packaging said Type R on the back, but it might have been for something else. But these are prototypical wheels. Excuse me, I got a scratchy throat tonight. So the construction of the car is metal body, plastic base, rubber tires with tread, prototypical wheels. As you can see on the back, it has a California plate, which looks to be a generic plate. It has insert translucent tail lights with a what looks to be an oversized aftermarket exhaust tip. Little bit of a paint issue there, which that right there is actually a little bit of bubbling in the clear coat, a little bit of oxidation. That's something that is very common from cars of that time frame that came out of China. There was something going on with that paint. That paint was just bad. The base on this car is pretty generic, as all of the Revell bases are. I really like the car. I think it looks great. I am a little concerned about the paint, but now that it's out of the packaging, I think hopefully the car can be cared for a little bit better. The window doesn't look to be perfect, although when you look at it, it's an insert window where it's all one piece. A little bit of cloudy going on with it, a little bit of fogginess, or however you want to articulate that. There's a little bit of that happening. Typically with cars that are more detailed, you don't see these types of windows. This is a total Hot Wheels / Matchbox mainline casting type of a window where it's all one piece and you just put it up in there before you spin the base. But typically with the more detailed cars, the windows are separate pieces that attach separately from the outside. But that's okay. I won't hold that against this casting. It is a great looking car. The stance on it is perfect. I mean, it just couldn't be better in my opinion. At least if you're going for a stock look. All right, so that's the Revell. Now I'm going to pull out. Most of these are Civics, but there are some other Hondas like the other ones we've looked at. So staying with the theme of going least favorite to most favorite. Now these are all going to be a step above. Here's a Konami first gen. I think this is a first gen Civic. It might be a second, but I think this is a first generation Honda Civic. So this right here is the predecessor to that right there. This is an awesome little car. My best friend in middle school, his mom had one of these. It had to be 1990. So at the time, it was only, I don't know, 12 years old. It was brown, but it was the same exact car. Little two-door hatchback. It was a manual transmission. Cool little car. It's not Konami's best work by any stretch of the imagination, but it's still a cool little car. So that's Konami. Let's see here. The next one, my least favorite, would probably be this little EF hatchback, which I think this might be higher on my list if I didn't screw it up by putting all the decals on it. But it's still a cool looking Honda hatchback. This is NO64, so with this brand you definitely start getting into the more premium price point. Although Konami's, you know, you're still a lot of times looking at 20 to 25. If you look long enough with Konami, you can find them for 10 or 15. This one is loaded with fingerprints. Holy cow. Need to wipe it down. NO64, you will not find one of these for under 25. Maybe a loose one, but you won't find a new one in the acrylic. But if you do, you should buy it. Nice wheels on this one too here. So that's the Honda Civic SIR EF9 hatchback. Lens, headlights, and taillights, indicators, rubber tires. All of these have rubber tires, by the way. There's not a one that doesn't, other than that S2000 at the beginning. I better get this one out of the way. This is a Kyosho Honda City. It is one of the least desirable Kyosho castings of all time. I've offered this up in just about every single trade that I've made, and nobody has been interested. So that's okay. I'll keep it. I like it. I think it's a cool little car. I like oddball stuff like this. And anything Honda made by Kyosho is very hard to find, and price is climbing. So next, I'll do this one because I'm not that one. I love that one. I'll do this one. I'm not a huge fan of this one. This was a body style that I never really cared for. I don't even know what year it is, but I think it's around a 02 or an 03 Honda Civic Type R. The detail and execution is very, very nice. Even has rear exhaust. The interior detail is very, very nice, although you can't see it. It's actually some of the best interior detail that I've seen on a 1:64 scale diecast car in these NO64 cars. You can see the A-pillar there on the driver's side is bent. That bothers me, but as I've seen more of these posted, it appears that that's a regular issue. So there's that. It is a cool car, but it's also a static display. That car there, because of the stance, it is not a rolling car. But so far, the rest of them that you've seen all roll. In fact, the rest of these all roll except one. Okay. Next least favorite. Gosh, I don't know. These next four are about equal. This is a Honda S800 Roadster. Pretty cool little car. These are coming back a little bit. Making a little bit of a comeback with... a lot of people are buying these and putting Honda motorcycle engines in them with motorcycle suspension. I guess that's a pretty popular thing to do. But the detail in this car it's up there. Like, it's way nice. This is also a Kyosho. I need to wipe all these down. My fingerprints are just ugly. Really nice roller. Really nice side view mirrors, fender mounted. And just overall a really cool car. Alright, so next up, I guess would have to be this Konami Cars of the 80s. It's a 1985 Honda Prelude. Now, Konami stepped their game up a little bit, I think, with the cars of the 80s. I think they are a little bit nicer than the cars that came out before them. I mean, this is a good example. You compare the way that Honda is put together with the way that the way the Civic is put together compared to the Prelude. And these cars also have pretty incredible detail on the interiors. With this one being black, it's not going to show very well, but also with Konami is you do get lens, headlight, and taillight detail. So that is 1985 Prelude from Konami. Metal body, plastic base, rubber tires, prototypical wheels. Alright, now my next one would be this first generation Honda CRX from Tomica Limited Vintage. I really should have wiped these down. I probably handle my cars too much for these videos. This is a really cool car, though. Excellent interior detail. Tomica Limited Vintage. These are probably the most expensive cars to buy. Right up there with the Inno 64. Although to get that Revell Honda Civic, you're going to be paying TLV prices anyways, so... And it's not quite as nice. So if you're going to spend $30 on a car, you can spend $30 and get that Revell black Honda Civic, or you could spend a little bit more and get something like this. The next one would be this Kyosho. This is a Honda Civic hatchback. I believe this is the body style that came after that body style there. This is an early to mid 1980s body style. And this one is also made by Kyosho. So it's got the typical Kyosho construction, which most premium cars have a metal body plastic base construction with rubber tires and prototypical wheels. Really, the only exception to that is Shuko. They do a metal base, and Tomica Limited Vintage most of the time does a metal base. But there are a decent amount of times with TLV where you do get plastic bases. But yeah, the detail in this Kyosho is great. Really looks good for being such a small little car. Alright, so we're down to our last three. So this one is somewhat like the Konami, but this is the Tomica Limited Vintage version of it. So it's, I think, quite a bit better as far as the quality goes. This Prelude is metal body plastic base. This Prelude is metal body metal base. I do like the wheels better on the Konami. However, these wheels are accurate to the... I think this one is a 1983. So it's a little bit older than the Konami. But you can see on the back end just how much cleaner the detail is with Tomica compared to Konami. Much cleaner. So that's a TLV Honda Prelude. This casting has been put out in many different colors. Two more. My second favorite Honda of all of these is an Inno 64 EK9 Type R VTEC. Love this car. This was such a popular car in my youthful years. So many friends I had that had one of these. And I think Inno did a great job. I really like what they did with the stance. It's a static display. It doesn't roll like that one. It doesn't roll. But I would almost rather have that to have the stance than to have a stock stance that rolled. Because this, to me, just looks so good. So on point cosmetically. And the detail is phenomenal. So being a Type R, just like the EF9, the EF9 hatchback here has the Type R interior with the 5-point harness. This one is the same way. So pretty incredible detail there. And then, of course, really nice looking lens headlights and indicators. The wheels look great on this car. Now, this car did come with black wheels, and so the car comes with black wheels, but there's an extra set. These white wheels come as an extra set. So I did switch out the wheels, and I used the black wheels for my blacked out M2 240Z, which ended up looking really good. And then here's the taillight detail. So this is a great looking car. I like this one a lot. And then the last one is my favorite Honda in my collection. And this is why I say if you want to spend $30 on that Revell Civic, you could spend just a little bit more money and get this one. Which, by the way, this was also available in black. White, black, and yellow, and silver. But this is the Tomica Limited Vintage, and it's a Type R. And you can see here, this is what it looks like with the stock stance compared to the lowered stance. These do have suspension, so, you know, I don't know. But big difference when you work your way up to these from from the Johnny Lightning ones, which, you know, that's just the thing, is when you get used to cars with this level of detail, it's really hard, in my opinion, to appreciate stuff like this. So I'm going to try to wrap this video up before the camera cuts out. Anyways, really cool car. I'm happy to have it. Even with the paint issues that it has, I'm very happy to have it. If I ever need to, I can send it off to someone. I have a couple people that do really nice customs, and I could just have them refinish it. They pull all the lens detail off and pull the windows out. And this one is not spun, it's just screwed. So shouldn't be all that hard to put a coat of paint on that if it needs it. But that issue, though, is very common, not just with Revell, but Konami. It's a very common issue with Konami. It's a very common issue with Kyosho, with some of the early Kyosho stuff. It's a common issue with Racing Champs. But anyways, there you guys go. That is my premium detailed Honda collection. I don't have very many because there just aren't that many out there. There's a decent amount, but most of my premium detailed import money goes towards Toyota, and most of the money that doesn't go towards Toyota ends up going to Nissan, because I really like a lot of the Nissan stuff as well. And there just isn't a lot of cool Honda stuff, you know. You go back to the late 60s into the 70s, there just isn't much Honda. You know, it's all Nissan and Toyota. So in 064, they are doing a Honda Accord. So that is a car I will be getting. I think they're doing actually 2 different body styles to start. So I'll snag those when they're available. Other than that, that's it. Thanks for watching. You guys have a good day, and I'll holler at you at the next video. What are you doing up there?